Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, everybody. Welcome to Explore Protect YouTube channel with your host, Dr. Meiya, here at Your Money Magnet. We welcome you, welcome all the regulars, and if you're new, welcome and please subscribe to the channel so that each time we have a new video, you are able to be informed. And while you are subscribing and you haven't yet set on your notifications, please set on your notifications so that you can be informed. And remember to comment on this video so that we can have a conversation. Today I want us to talk about service to cash cycle. This is an equivalent of cash cycle when you're in the industry or business where you're dealing with products. So what is this service to cash cycle? Now, this is that gap between when you've just rendered the service and you're receiving the payment. Now, it could be just conducted a webinar, just finished a manual, you've just done your coaching service, whatever the case, the service it is that you're rendering. But that moment that is completed and the service is rendered, that service now needs to be converted to payment so that you can realize the cash from the service that you just rendered. Now, if we assume that the moment that you've just rendered the service, you call it some day naught or T naught, and the day in the future, we call it, let's say, day T30, depending on what your receivables policy are, or your appetite or your threshold for when you want to receive payment from rendering the service to receiving the payment. Now, this assumes that when the work is done, the invoicing is happening immediately. So if there's no difference between conducting the work and invoicing, then we can simply then move. If you assume your receivables threshold or appetite is 30 days, then on day 30, T30 in the future, then the payment will be received so that there's a conversion from service render to receiving the cash, and there's an inflow of revenue. Now, if however we don't always run the business in this fashion, but maybe even before, let's stop there. The minute you finish rendering your service, your payment expectation clock starts getting into motion. You've rendered the service, now the customer needs to pay. But this is purely dependent on when you're going to send that invoice. I've already said before, if work being done and invoicing are done at the same time, then it's a smooth period towards payment. But however, if there is a lag between conducting the work and conducting the writing or sending the actual invoice, this creates a lag. Let's say for an argument's sake, it's 5 days. So you're already losing 5 days for you realizing the conversion of the service you conducted into positive cash flow. Now, this is very critical because it now elongates your receivables period. And this can have some negative repercussions as far as your cash flow movement is concerned, because now you move from your T naught, it's not T30 anymore, but becomes T35. And that lag could be because of the inefficiency within the organization, or it could be because something beyond the total control of what you can do as a business. Now, which is very much important that when you work out your payment threshold from invoicing and payment, you need to be very careful. What is the appetite you have? And you can then accommodate this potential lag to create a buffer for when work is being done and invoicing is being conducted. Now, what you're talking about here excludes the period when you're still pursuing the business, you're still having to get the contract, you're still having to engage with business and other clients, and when there is a negative cash movement. And this is really where you start the conversation. There's an outflow of money, what will otherwise reflect in your financials as cost of sale. But here, now you've got the lead period that moves from when you're starting to engage the client to the period when you actually get the contract and conduct the work. Now, this is very important to note because if we look at the total cycle from service, we cannot exclude the period that led to the service being rendered. And it's critical because that period should also be juxtaposed to the monetary value that you're getting vis-a-vis the outflow of cash in pursuing that business. So let's put it together. What are we saying? We need to understand that from the moment you engage with a business, which is day T0, to the period where you will contract, get the work done, which will be your T0 towards payment, there's already a lead period. In this case, we're assuming it's 30 days. The lead period of 30 days, which now becomes T0 towards payment, we're going to count it as a positive time because it gives us a clear picture. If there is something that happens here, that invoicing is not happening immediately after rendering the service, you need to also realize that we've added another 5 days in towards receiving the payment. And finally, by the time we receive the payment, if our receivables appetite is 30 days, it's some 65 days later. So from a business point of view, what are we saying? The longer the lag time between conducting the work and actually sending an invoice is going to have a negative impact as to when you will receive the payment, and this can put a strain on your cash flow. And this is so even when you have a consistently paying customer, because they cannot pay you until you submit an invoice. So you need to really look at when you're invoicing, when you're receiving payment. But most importantly, the key thing about this simple framework, it allows you to see where the bottlenecks are. Is it the pre-work, which is the contracting phase and the actually getting the work done phase? Or is it the post-work being done in actually having to deal with invoicing and other things? The moral of the story is improve the efficiency so that we can get paid faster. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. It is your finance doctor here at Explore Protect YouTube channel. Until we meet again, remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel.